Tonight, we're diving into a story that began with a simple fruit, the tomato, but quickly became a symbol of a seismic shift in North American trade. For years, the U.S. depended on Mexico for a steady supply of fresh tomatoes, keeping grocery shelves stocked nationwide. This cross-border trade was a lifeline for American companies and families, a seamless system built over decades. But everything changed when Washington imposed steep tariffs on Mexican tomatoes, citing unfair trade practices. The move was meant to protect American growers, but it sent shockwaves through the entire supply chain. Suddenly, Mexican farmers faced a closed market, and American retailers braced for shortages. The decision created chaos, forcing both sides to scramble for solutions. What followed was a high-stakes scramble to reroute millions of pounds of perishable produce. The fallout from this single policy decision reshaped the continent's economic landscape. It tested alliances, exposed vulnerabilities, and forced a rapid rethinking of trade routes. This isn't just about tomatoes, it's about the future of trade and the power of logistics. We'll take you from the fields of Sinaloa to the ports of Vancouver to see how one tariff changed everything. The story is one of disruption, but also of remarkable adaptation. Let's see how a single fruit redrew the map of North American trade. The U.S. tariff decision was abrupt, and its impact was immediate. A 17.5% tariff on Mexican tomatoes was imposed to counter alleged dumping, a move celebrated by American growers. But for the vast network built around U.S.-Mexico tomato trade, it was catastrophic. Mexican growers who had invested billions to serve the U.S. market suddenly faced a closed door and a surplus of perishable goods. Trucks that once crossed the border with ease now faced delays and new duties, turning fresh produce into waste. The tariff didn't just add a tax, it shattered trust and predictability in international trade. American distributors lost their reliable supply, unable to guarantee prices or deliveries. The efficient system was broken, and the consequences rippled through every link in the chain. The market was thrown into uncertainty, and everyone was left asking, what now? The answer would reshape trade across the continent. For American consumers, the impact was immediate. Tomato prices soared and grocery shelves emptied. With Mexican supply restricted, domestic tomatoes became scarce and expensive. Families saw grocery bills rise, and a kitchen staple became a luxury. Supermarkets struggled to keep shelves stocked, some limiting purchases, others facing empty displays. Restaurants, especially pizzerias and Mexican eateries, faced tough choices: absorb costs or raise prices. The entire logistics network was thrown into turmoil. Importers, truckers, and cold storage facilities lost business overnight. American workers became collateral damage in a trade dispute beyond their control. The tariff exposed a hard truth: U.S. growers couldn't meet year-round demand, especially in winter. Mexico's climate and infrastructure filled a critical gap, and without it, shortages were inevitable. The result wasn't a boom for U.S. farmers, but a shortage for consumers. The lesson was clear. Modern food supply chains are deeply interconnected. Disrupt one link, and the whole system feels the pain. The tomato tariff was a costly experiment in supply and demand. With the U.S. market blocked, Mexican tomato producers pivoted north, to Canada. This wasn't a simple switch, it required a complete overhaul of logistics. The solution: railways. Mexican exporters partnered with Canadian Pacific Kansas City to launch a dedicated tomato train. Refrigerated containers carried tomatoes from Mexico straight to Canadian cities like Toronto and Montreal. The rail route bypassed U.S. border delays, creating a direct artery between Mexico and Canada. This shift demanded coordination, new schedules, and expanded cold chain infrastructure. Within months, a new efficient trade route was up and running. Mexican producers found a welcoming market, and Canada gained a steady supply. The tomato train became a symbol of resilience and adaptability in global trade. When one door closed, another opened, on rails. For Canada, the influx of Mexican tomatoes was a golden opportunity. Canadian importers and officials moved quickly, securing long-term contracts with Mexican growers. Major grocery chains guaranteed a market for Mexican produce, providing stability for both sides. Logistics companies expanded cold storage near rail terminals, preparing for the new flow of goods. The Canadian government streamlined customs, ensuring smooth rail shipments. This new trade flow strengthened Canada's role as a central hub in North American trade. Consumers benefited from lower prices and a reliable supply, especially in winter. Mexican growers saved their businesses, and Canada diversified its food sources. The partnership was a win-win, elevating Canada's status in continental trade. The tomato train redefined Canada's place on the economic map. The tomato trade rerouting is a case study in supply chain agility. It proved that logistics networks can adapt rapidly to policy shocks and new realities. When the US closed its door, trade didn't stop. It found a new path. Companies with flexible supply chains and strong partnerships thrived. The lesson: resilience means being ready to pivot, not just endure. This shift is being watched by industries far beyond agriculture. The era of relying on a single trade route is over. Diversification is now essential. The tomato tariff was a wake-up call. Political risk is now a key factor in supply chain planning. The Mexico-Canada corridor is a model for future trade relationships. As barriers rise, agile players will redraw the economic map. The future belongs to those who can adapt and connect. The North American tomato shakeup offers a final lesson. Logistics and stability, not just policy, determine who wins in trade. The US tariff underestimated Mexico's agility and Canada's readiness to seize opportunity. The real power lay in infrastructure. A seamless rail network made the pivot possible. Trade agreements matter, but robust supply chains turn them into reality. This episode shifted thinking beyond a US-centric model, highlighting the value of direct Mexico-Canada ties. For the US, it's a cautionary tale: policy without supply chain insight can backfire. The humble tomato became a catalyst for a new era in trade. In a connected world, those who build bridges, not walls, will lead. That's the enduring legacy of the great tomato pivot.